Hello and welcome to Youth 2.0. And to get us going, I would have I would have loved a conversation, but I think we'll just use a little bit of visual aid to assist different types of learners in the large groups that we have. Right now, I'm feeling like this. I don't know about you guys. Some of you, I will not blame you if you feel like this right now. But really, my question, the way I wanted to start was, do you ever feel like this? And if so, how often? And I'm pretty sure there are some smart guys there. I call them smart asses sometimes, but who say, oh no, I never feel like that. So if not like that, maybe you feel like this sometimes. The thing is, how do we overcome? What do we do? Does this happen to us more often than not? And taking it further, I would want, let's do a very, very quick visualization. And just for 30 seconds, guys, indulge me, please. Just close your eyes and visualize a tree. Just visualize a tree. 30 seconds with eyes closed, please. So probably I wouldn't be too surprised if you guys come up and say, oh, I saw thick, lush leaves, some fruits there, a big trunk, large tree, shade. Some people may have even seen some birds in there making a nest or squirrels coming up and down. God knows what else. Some of you may have seen a barren tree, maybe, who knows? But if you take all the summary, my question is, how many of you actually saw the roots? How many of you saw the roots? I'd like you to just say yes, and let there be a flood of yeses or nos. Let's see how many yeses come up in the Facebook chat. Just try that, please. Okay. Some of you, maybe. Not too many of you. Okay. So now, if you take this example, if you look at the tree, the leaves, which gives the shade, the thick trunk, the branches, the strength of that, the fruits that are there in the tree, they're all our worldly accomplishments. They are our career, experience, our hobbies, our personality, our character, our attitude, whatever creates us, whatever we are going after, whatever we are pursuing in life. Everything that is out there in the world, external to us, is what we see in the tree normally. But the tree, remember, will shed its leaves in autumn, will not bear fruits for some seasons, may get ravaged by a desert storm, by a storm that comes into its way. What will decide the strength of the tree? What will decide whether it'll come back or not are its roots. And for roots, normally you can't see them. And generally people do not visualize that because it's not seen. So if you look at it and equate to a human life, it doesn't matter whether you're young or old, doesn't matter. As long as you're pursuing something out there, as if you're a student, you're pursuing studies. If you're working, you're pursuing your career and family, whatever else. All the worldly accomplishments are like the fruit in the shade of the tree. We put a lot of importance on it. We put a lot of attention on it. However, the important thing is our inner self, our belief and our values, our roots. So I'm hoping in these 3 days, you're going to get a little bit connected to your roots, say hello to them, and nourish them a bit so that you gain the strength from where it matters the most, inside out. Okay? And because of this lopsided importance that we give to outside, and the attention that we give to outside, whereas it should be the opposite, the result is this imbalance as we see in ourselves. So what next? Another quiz time. Who do you think is in the center of this picture? Can you identify the character there? Some of you have read asterisks, haven't you? So that seems to be asterisk. But you know what, guys? It's us. It's each one of us. And these four horses, which is splitting us apart in four different directions. So if you're a student, your teacher might be telling you something, your parents might be telling you something, your friends are telling you something else. And if you're old enough to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever category that comes in, they might be asking you to do something else and you want to do something else altogether. If you're working professional, add bosses, add clients, and add team members, peers, as well as subordinates if you're a team lead. They're all stretching us in different direction. So each one of us is there sitting inside. So no wonder there are times when we are like this. With me so far? Okay, let's take it one step ahead. So we are trying to decode ourselves. So who am I? Where do we start? So let's start with the name. Yes, I am Harpreet. I answer to that name ever since I've realized that it is my name. And it works for more often than not. But imagine if I was in a room full of 10 other Harpreets, and Harpreet is a common name in Sikhs. And guess what? Half of them, or maybe even more, are ladies and not men. And somebody says, Harpreet, do this, it'll cause a bit of a identity crisis. And who am I? So the name helps, but is not the ultimate identity. Okay, take it next step ahead. Let's confuse this a little more. Let's stretch this a little more. We as humans, we exist in multiple planes simultaneously. At the first plane, we are a physical body. There's a physical quotient that measures our health. So a healthy body is very, very important. That makes us strong. So for that, we eat good food, we go and exercise, etc. And we know there's an intelligent quotient that measures our intellect and tells us, oh, you're intelligent, your logic is good, etc., etc. You can solve problems. You're very good with that. So that's your IQ. And nowadays, it's become very prevalent to go after EQ, which is really your feelings on the hormone burst that you get or how well you manage the hormones within your system, which allows you equanimity, which allows you to make good choices. Now, I take an example with you, and I take a crazy example. Pardon me for that. Think of a terrorist. This crazy terrorist who has created a completely new type of a bomb. His purpose is, questionable, hugely, maybe even completely wrong, misguided. But he does make a bomb. And let's say he makes a bomb, straps it on himself, goes and detonates it. So he's a suicide bomber. Make it even worse. What's the IQ of this guy? It could be high. The guy's created, he's created circuits, he's created bombs, fitted into places where nobody thought of it before. What's his EQ? His emotionally maybe very stable because the guy can go and blow himself up without blinking an eyelid. So there is something more. It doesn't stop at IQ, EQ, or PQ. And that is obviously, some call it spiritual quotient, soul quotient, God knows what it is. But essentially, that's something which creates the purpose, which creates your values, and most importantly, gives you clarity to make your choices, gives you quote unquote Viveka, Viveka being a Sanskrit word, which means you can choose, you can make the right choices. The brain, the mind is not foggy enough that you're making wrong choices. It is clear enough and you're making the right choices. We are a balance of all of this. We are a mix of all these quotients, but the spiritual quotient will make us decide, choose wisely or not, and we'll bear the consequences of both, whatever we choose. So, okay, this is a workshop, so lecture almost done, gone. We were just setting the scene, warming up. So let's check into ourselves a bit, and you're familiar with Menti, so we're going to do a Menti round right now. I'll just show you the code, and the trick here is, or the questions here is to see how do we connect with our loved ones, connect with them, and then come out with our answers. 2, 3 very simple short questions. So the code is 225478, and it's connecting with the loved ones. And if I could ask Samarth, please ensure that it is enabled so that people can log in. So Sam, if you're there, please make sure that 225478 is logged in. And I'll just explain to you, there are 3 questions really. What you do is, the first question is in one line or a few words, just write down, what did you learn from your mother? From your mother. So we start from there. So the way you do it is my recommendation, just close your eyes for a moment. Visualize your mother with your closed eyes, connect with her, and then ponder over what is it that you learned from your mother, and you'll come up with an answer. And then you can jot that down. And the other 2 are, what did you learn from your father, and what did you learn from your favorite teacher or guide? Just 3 simple questions. And I would request you to please start now. It feels good to think about the ones that we learn from. And I'll give you a little trick to make it even nicer for yourself and to your loved ones as well. As you connect with your mother, as you recognize what you learned from her, send her a silent gratitude. Send her a silent thank you. And do the same with your father too, by the way. Hey, hopefully my daughters are somewhere there in the crowd as well. So that's with a little vested interest. But do it for your guide. Do it for your favorite teacher too. 2 things will happen. You'll feel even better. And one way or the other, nature will find a way to reach out your love to them. So please do that. Okay? But can I ask you to just close your eyes and write down in a notepad, connecting with yourselves, what are the 1 or 2 words that describe you as a student? As a student, how would you describe yourself? Can you just make a note in your notepads, please? So 1 or 2 words that describe yourself in your role as a student: hardworking, sincere, learner, confused. Well done. Well done. Good. I have to wear my specs to read it, guys. I'm sorry, my beard is going a bit gray. And here we are. Obedient, focused learner. Wow, that's nice. Average. Mango people. We all are smart. Well done. Lots of good ones. Can we go to the next question, please? So as a child to your parents, naughty. That's nice. Understanding, lazy, giving. There's some nice little words there. Obedient yet stubborn. I love that. I absolutely love that. Good, good. Can we go to the next one, please? As a sibling, caring, loving, understanding, friend, loving and caring, support, irritating. That's nice. Understanding, concern. Wow, that's good. Okay, your role as a friend. Pretty much like a sibling, huh? But I'm looking for irritating. The siblings can get irritating, but the friends, always there, always available. My God, you guys are a friendly lot here. No punching in the face, huh? Good, good, good. It should be there. Okay, let's go to the sensitive one. Let's go to the next one. Your special friend, partner, uh, listener, trustworthy, supporting, loving, caring, understanding. Wow. Hmm. So, guys, that's nice. Thank you. Keep filling this out. We are not going to shut the voting. So, for some of you who are, yeah, we can see it up going up 205. Let's reach 250 and then we shut the voting. 212, 20. Good. Hey, this is cool, man. This mentee is good. It's pretty light. 225 and going strong. Let's see if some new words have come. Always there. But look at the big ones: understanding, caring, loving, love, supportive, trust. Very, very nice. Very nice. By the way, if you knew, I recommend this book to all you guys. It's called Biology of Belief. It's by a gentleman called Dr. Bruce Lipton. And Dr. Lipton actually is a cell biologist out of US, and it's an incredible book. And he describes an individual, a person, as a colony, as a community of 50 trillion cells. And each cell in itself is a living being, right? It's got a brain, it's got everything that a living being has. And so we are really a community of 50 trillion cells. We are all what you said and more. Let's just explore this more part. All of us are a bundle of energy and we are vibrating. There's a certain frequency with which the EMF, the electromagnetic forces in us, are working. By the way, each cell of a body has got 1.4 volts. 50 trillion cells makes a lot of voltage, huh? And that makes a lot of EMF, electromagnetic force, that is emanating from us. And that's the energy that is coming out of us. That's why we can pick up the vibes from people when we look at them, when we feel them, when we are near them. They may not be communicating verbally, but there's a whole lot of other communication that happens. And these energy and vibrations are created by many things, but let's just take feelings and belief. What I believe in and how I feel at that point of time actually creates these energy and vibrations with which my entire system vibrates. Now I come to the next part of what I wanted to share with you. All of this is conditioned by our perceptions. All our feelings, our belief, the energy that we are emanating, the frequency at which we are vibrating, all of this is conditioned by our perceptions. Perceptions, the way we perceive things. And now I'm going to take you through something that we do for large corporates, for business leaders, I'm also part of Adizes Institute, which is my professional work. So I'm going to now to present a concept of Dr. Adizes that we use in Adizes methodology. And let's figure out how we perceive, how all of us perceive reality differently. Okay? For example, the first perception is what is going on. What is going on right now? I'm talking and you guys who are there, you are listening to me. That is happening, right? So this is going on. The next perception is what should be going on. Now, whilst I'm here sitting and listening to this, participating in this workshop, it could occur to you, really, I should be doing something else. There's some work pending which I have to complete. I have a deadline. I should be doing that. So whilst I'm sitting here, I should be doing that as a second perception. And the third perception really is what I want to be doing. So whilst I'm sitting, participating in this workshop, I should be completing a deadline. What I really want to do is shut everything off and go back to sleep or go play PUBG. I don't know, whatever it is. So what is going on, what should be going on, and what we want to be going on are three different perceptions. Let's just see how they interplay with each other. So see what's happening inside the circle of is going on, and what is happening inside the should circle should happen that way. And of course, the third one is want. What is going on in the want is happening there. Now let us see the interplay, the green section that you see, where what is going on, it should happen that way, but I do not want it. Once again, what is going on should happen, but I don't want it. For an example could be, I'm accepting the inevitable in this case. I am a good soldier. I'm doing what I should do, although I don't want to be doing it. For example, I am wearing a mask because I should be wearing a mask in these times, although I don't want to because it's messy. It kind of messes up my face and it's very cumbersome. So that's where you say, I'm accepting the inevitable. What is happening in this circle where the should and want are overlapping? I should be doing this, I want to be doing this, but it is not happening. So an example could be, I should be sleeping on time. I actually want to sleep on time because I get up very groggy. But why am I not sleeping on time? That's one example. So we're just looking at interplays of these three perceptions. So this is where we deny reality, where we want something and believe it should be like that, but it cannot be like that. It is not like that. It's not happening the way we want it, and it should happen. And then we have the next part. And the next interplay is what is going on. I want it that way, but it should not be that way. It could be a diabetic person. So he is diabetic. He wants to eat the chocolate, but he cannot resist it, but he should not be eating the chocolate. So this is called denying the boundaries or living in sin. Or for example, I'm married, but hey, I want to have that extra marital affair and I go indulge in that. I should not be doing it. So that's living in sin. There could be so many different examples. Essentially, what I want to tell you is what happens in the center, which is the yellow part. What is going on, it should be going on, and you want it to be going on. All three circles are overlapping. This is an area which we call as happiness. You know what happens in love? When you're in love, who you are, who you should be, who I want you to be is all one and the same. And that's why you are happy. And that's when you say you're mine. So this is an area of mind. It's an area of happiness. When you consider something totally yours and you're one with it, it becomes mine. And that becomes when these three perceptions of reality overlap with each other. When the is, want, and should circles overlap with each other. Anything short of this overlap are frustrations. So many things are happening, they should not happen, you don't want them to happen, it's frustrating. Many things should happen, but they are not happening and you don't want, it's frustrations. And like this, even the intersections are all frustrations, except for the center, except for the heart. That is happiness. That is happiness. Now, what is happening in the world? What is happening as we are growing? When we are born, as a newborn, when we are an infant, all these three circles are overlapping each other. They're together. So newborn child does not get into cost value relationships and doesn't get into calculations of logics to understand what should be done. It is also not seeing whether I want it or not. It just looks at something and says, that's mine, and I'm going to just take it, and it's mine. And if they don't get it, they just start crying. They get it and they are happy. So little kids, when they're there, when they're born, these circles are overlapping. Their entire space is happiness. But as we grow older, these circles start separating. They start separating. We start getting these gaps. And that is when we start getting frustrated. That's when little kids cry a lot. Have you noticed that? Why do little kids cry? Because they realize that these circles are not always overlapping. For example, you tell a child, don't touch the gas stove, it is hot. What will the kid do the moment you turn your back? It'll touch the stove. Ah! So remember that. It realizes, the kid suddenly understands, what I really want, it should not happen that way, and it isn't always the same way. And by the way, we continue crying all our lives. It's just that we know how to hide our tears as we grow older, because there are frustrations in us. What is further happening is these three circles are also dancing. And why is it dancing? Because of change. As change happens, all these three circles are dancing, and so as a result of that, the area of mind, the area of togetherness, the area of integration starts shrinking. So higher the change, the bigger the change, the more frustrated we get, the more disempowered we get, the lesser happy we are. An underdeveloped city, a village, could have far more happier people, even though they don't have all means of comfort. But a very, very urban city with all the comforts could result in very unhappy people because of the separation of these three perceptions: what is, what I want, and what should happen. Okay with this so far? I hope so. Back to the mentee again. Back to the mentee again. And this time there's only one question, and I want you to hold on and understand the question, how to answer it before you start answering it. So just hold on. The question is, rank in the order. Go within yourself, analyze yourself, and rank yourself. Are you more a is person? Are you more a want person? Are you more a should person? What are you most of? There'll be different situations where you come from the is angle, where you do what you have to do very quickly and you get out. You don't think too much. Or you come from the want angle. Somebody who comes from the want angle, he says, I want this, so it better be this way. And they'll go against the trend. They'll buck a trend. They'll go against naysayers. A lot of people are dissuading them, but they overcome that and they go ahead and do what they really want to do. Although some people say you should not be doing this, some people say it can't be done, but they still go ahead and do it. There are some people who come in from the should angle. Which are the people who come in from the should angle? The guys who say, never mind what I want, never mind what I can do, I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to follow what is written in the book. I'm going to follow the law. I will not break the rules. Even if I want to do something, I will not do that because I will not break the rules. So these three perceptions, are you more of an is, more of a want, or more of a should? What are you more of? Hey, you guys are way ahead of me, huh? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. By the way, there's no wrong answer, because depending on the context, we can come from any one angle, any point of time. Sometimes is dominates, sometimes want dominates, sometimes should dominates. But the question is really, what are you maximum of? More often than not, what are you? Huh? Looks like there's an equal spread, which is great. That means we've got a lovely, diverse crowd. I'm going to send out a couple of videos that you can watch from the Adizes video list. And I think these concepts will get a little more interesting as you explore them a bit deeper. Depends on situation. Sure, it depends on the situation, but don't be diplomatic. Choose. Make your choices. Like I said, we are in the process of decoding ourselves. Mix of three. Da, 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 da. You want to become an entrepreneur. Okay. Is dominates. Okay, good. I'm trying to read the sentences really. Is dominates over the want. Yeah, is short term, want is generally long term. So if you're more short term and naturally the fires are in your face, is will take precedence over many things many a times. But can you take a step back when it's required and look at the long term also? Good. Oh yeah, by the way, all the participants, all of you will be getting lots of freebies, and one of the free books that are going to be given to you will be How to Manage in Times of Crisis by Dr. Adizes, with whom I work fairly closely professionally. It's a nice book. It's 100-page, very easy, quick read, and I think it's got some um, very useful nuggets, very useful micro practices, thoughts, principles that you can use, particularly when it is crisis time. So that'll be very, very useful for you all, hopefully. Good. So we move on. Can I go back to the presentation, guys? Okay, so that's it. We are pretty evenly poised there. So thanks a lot, guys. I guess you were ahead of me. So let me go back to the share. And oh, I realize I needed to do this. Okay. And okay. Good. So these were my perceptions. Hey, what is happening? So these were our perceptions. We are conditioned by our perceptions. If we are more an is type of a person, we'll be short term, more predominantly short term than long term or that process oriented. If you're a should person, we are much more follow the process, follow the rules, systematic, but not so much quick action or not so much long term. If we are a want person, we are driven by an ambition, by an aspiration, and we are able to see the large picture and overcome the short term rules also. Sometimes we break rules pretty often, and we are not very good with doing the short term work because we are thinking up ahead. We've got a macro view. By the way, we need all of these. We need all these perceptions. And the more we spread our perceptions, the more we widen it, the better we become. But we are conditioned by our perceptions. Our perceptions decide how we respond, how we react, how we even see things. I'll take you to the next one. And my question really is, where do our perceptions come from? Where do you think our perceptions come from? It comes from lots of places, but really they're all driven by past experiences. They're driven by some impressions that we carry because somebody said something, did something so many years ago, the mind got conditioned, and next time when we see the same thing, you get the memory back and off we are, and we perceive things differently. Just because somebody spoke to you rudely 3 years ago and you've already categorized that person or judged him like that, next time you meet him, the guy might have forgotten, but you don't, and you might already judge them differently. You might not even listen to them, what they have to say. So in a way, since all perceptions come from the past, what we are today, our thoughts, our belief, is shaped by our past. We are a product of our past. What has happened? Many say even go beyond this life, we are a product of our past lives. The karma theory is that your past life karmas are coming you and shaping your tendencies now. So we are a product of the past. What does this mean? What does it mean? Please note this carefully. If that be so, your choices today, what you're going to do now, your thoughts and belief at this point of time are actually creating your tomorrow. They are creating your future. Once again, your choices today are determining your future. Since you're a product today of the past, what you do now is going to be your tomorrow. You are designing your destiny. Yes, destiny could be pre-written, but you can change it. You can change it by your choices. You can adapt to it. You can create new forces in life that shape you and shape the world. And all of those will happen with the choices that you make. Once again, choices. Remember, the spiritual quotient was going to give you clarity, the Viveka, the clarity to choose wisely. And why do you have to choose wisely? So that you can create and design a destiny that you have conceived for yourself, that you can visualize for yourself. And your thoughts and your belief will be able to do that. Hold on to this thought for a moment. And I'm going to take you to another concept. Have you come across this word called devote? Devote. Kamlesh Bhai Daji, our spiritual guide in Heartfulness, he equated it to something called devote. What is vote? What does vote mean? Vote means there are five guys, I choose who I'm going to vote for. I have a choice. Devote means you are now devoid of that choice. You are choosing what your beloved has chosen for you. Okay, that's devotion. So when you're devoted to someone, when you're totally in love and your beloved says do this, because of your devotion you do that. You just accede to the your beloved's choice, right? So you're devoted to the person. You could be devoted to a higher entity or whatever else, devoted to your purpose. And your purpose then doesn't give you a choice. You have to choose what is right for the purpose. So devote really is devoting yourself. The topic of today, decode. What is coding? Encrypting, passwords, secrets. Oh, this is what is very, very inside of me. How would if it is decoded? And by the way, I'm not saying don't have a password on your phone or things like that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm trying to take it a bit beyond. Could you have a life where you have decoded yourself? There's no code anymore. The jigsaw has fallen in place. You understand it. You understand yourself. There's no need of underlying secrets. There is a dark side of me and I'm familiar with it. I will work on shedding some light into it and illuminating that side. There's a bright side of me. Let me use that as much as I can. Can I expand my brightness to overcome the little dark spots that I have? That is decoding yourself. So whatever codes are there, whatever encryptions are there, whatever complex things are there in yourself, can you just declutter that, decode that, and define yourself? With this, I come to the end and I'll open up for some questions, and I'm hoping that there will be some questions, and if there are, I can take them. But I want to summarize a few things for you, what I've been saying for the past 45 minutes or so. Decoding yourself comes from integrating yourself, coming together, all the three circles overlapping. When you're happy, when you're comfortable with the conflicts inside your head, the right brain tells you, go ahead, do it. The left brain says, don't do it, you idiot. But you're able to resolve that conflict. You're able to live with that conflict. You're comfortable with that conflict. You're self-assured. You trust yourself. You respect yourself. You are integrated. Sleep integrates everybody at night. When you sleep at night, the body reintegrates. Meditation integrates yourself. It aligns you from inside and declutters a lot of noise. Many times, a problem that you're grappling with, you cannot solve, but you sleep over it. Next morning, you have an answer because you reintegrated. Many times, you write the problem in your diary, you meditate next morning, and you have an answer. And you've been struggling with it for days because you reintegrated yourself. So decode yourself, integrate yourself. And in summary, I would just like to sum up. What I said was we live in multiple planes simultaneously. There's a physical side to us, look after that. There's a intellectual side of us, look after that. There's an emotional side of us, look after that. But there's a spiritual side of us, look after that. They are our roots. The heart is the root of our roots in our system. So become friends with your roots. Say hello to it, nourish your roots. We are always split with choices. There are always multiple choices for anything. But our perceptions will drive or limit either way our feelings and belief. And we are really a product of our perceptions, which means we are a product of our past. So what you choose today will design your tomorrow. You're writing your destiny. The God up there is not sitting and writing your destiny. God has created the law, maybe, which allows you to write your own destiny, your choices. So for making the right choices, integration is key so that the Viveka, it opens up and you're able to see more than what others can. So if you're able to see more, you're making a better choice. You're making a more informed choice. And you're always conscious of the higher purpose. You're conscious of the values. And you're conscious of the spiritual quotient that's inherent in you. The little heart's voice, which tells you when you are wrong. When you are taking a wrong step, it skips a beat. It starts pumping hard and it'll give you a signal. So listen to that, please, and respond to that. And when you're not comfortable with something, sleep over it. The is, want, should perceptions. And then really what I would like to say is make the most of these 3 days to decode yourselves. Become comfortable with yourselves. Make better choices. And if you have any questions, write them down. Maybe not all questions will be answered, but some of them will definitely be answered over these workshops. And I want to wish you the very, very best. So with that said, I'm happy to take some questions, and I really want a sip of water. Okay, let me wear my specs. Okay. Sometimes, and this is a question from Shashi, sometimes it's difficult to identify our emotions at the root level and hence decode ourselves. Of course it is. Of course it is. When we're not used to something, it is not easy. It's not easy only in the beginning. Remember how you started writing in your books? Remember, go back to nursery, KG. How did you start writing alphabets? Was it easy? But you practiced over a period of time and you learned it. How is it when you rode the bike the first time, when you drove a car the first time? Was it easy? No, it became okay. This is neuroscience, this is neuroplasticity. So you will, with practice, you will come to know. I'll tell you one very simple trick which I picked up in the conversations that are happening with Daji and Dr. Adizes. They're happening every Friday. In fact, you guys are going to be live tonight with them. So one of the tricks was, when you're grappling with the problem, first feel the problem. Feel it. What do you feel? Now that you've felt the problem, you feel like, okay, let me try to solve it. Now start talking to your brain. Now start talking to your brain. Go with the logic, and talking is back and forth. See what's right. And once you've come to a solution, go back again to the feeling. Go back to the heart and see, how do you like the solution? Do you like it or not? If you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, don't do it. Just don't do it. That's how you toggle between the heart and the mind. That's how you listen to your feelings. And if something makes you uncomfortable, slow down, pause, sleep over it. Don't jump. Don't do it. That's the simplest thing I can tell you. I hope that was okay. Oh boy, there are lots of questions. Good. Ruchika says, how to develop discriminatory abilities. How to develop that? By developing your IQ, by intellect, getting more knowledge, turning knowledge to wisdom. That's when you'll be really wise. Knowledge is available very cheaply. Google Devta is there. You can get any amount of knowledge. But how do you utilize that knowledge? That is wisdom. By feeling an answer, not only thinking about it. For example, I could be grappling with the question for months at end, and my wife, who may not know anything about my work, if I pose the question to her, she'll just come up with an answer which could be completely different, out of the box, which is probably the best answer because she felt the answer rather than got caught up in the thoughts, in the intellect of it. But then how do you move from knowledge to wisdom? How do you move from thinking to feeling? The simplest way I know of is meditation. It has worked brilliantly for me. And by the way, let me boast a little, sorry, but let me do that. I'm also part of a group called Mensa, and Mensa is these high IQ guys, and I was above the 99th percentile when I did my Mensa test exam. I'm part of Mensa UK chapter. So my intellect is high, but boy, do I make wrong decisions, big time. I made some blunder investments. Again, my wife kept telling me, don't do it, but I said, no, I know better. I went and did it and lost the money. So this balance, discrimination, my meditation is what has helped me expand my consciousness in order to make the better decisions. Okay, so I hope Jitendra, kindly answer when we are going through the circle of what is and want, that particular time is very panic and decision making is almost zero. Right now it's easy to understand, but very difficult to apply when we are out of control. You're right. We are all human, and when the flight or fight syndrome kicks in, that is when the body senses danger and you want to run or fight, at that time the right brain shuts down. You cannot think ahead. All the energy is going to your limbs so that you can run or fight. At that time, to think beyond and think ahead, very difficult. Very difficult. The trick is, if you've seen National Geographic, you will see a deer which is grazing very easily, and suddenly its ears perk up when it sees one of the predators coming in. It senses danger and the ears perk up. And then it starts running. The predator is after it. And they'll keep running. And let's just assume for a moment the predator, the tigress, could not catch the deer, and the deer dodged it. So after 5 minutes, the tigress is tired, it gives up, and she goes on the side. She's sitting still maybe 100 meters away. But the deer now realizes the tigress is not following. The ears go down, goes back to grazing very quickly. Can we humans be like that? We are not like that. Animals can go back to the relaxed state very quickly. But we remember that frenzied state, that heightened anxiety stage, and the moment we see a tiger even a kilometer away, or even the thought of a tiger a kilometer away, and the anxiety sets in. A very simple technique. Heartfulness got a lot of techniques. I would encourage you to look up all the Heartfulness videos, but I'll show one to you guys. If some of you have not seen it before, it'll be very useful. Take your right thumb, close your right nostril, inhale and exhale from your left nostril deeply 5 times or 10 times, like this. Do it 5 times, 6 times. Left nostril breathing relaxes the right side of the brain. It's left nostril is connected to the right brain. It'll relax it. Your anxiety will come down. If that doesn't work, there are other tricks. Look at yourself now. You must be sitting, most of you. Just drop your shoulders. Just loosen them. Just drop them. Do you feel the load off your shoulders? That's a very good way to relax yourself. Take your fists, clench them tight, release them. Clench them tight, release them. Clench them tight, release them. This will relax you. There's a heartfulness relaxation technique. And of course, all these are micro practices, little practices which help you when in heightened anxiety. The meditation and the processes of heartfulness meditation, cleaning and night meditation, which you'll be going through hopefully in this workshop, not hopefully, I'm pretty sure you will. They will be the main tools. They'll be the Brahmastra. They'll be the real tools for you to overcome this anxiety, this panic. The VUCA world was always there, guys. VUCA world is not new. It was always there. It's just that with that heightened perceptions and the extra information we are getting, we react too fast. We just need to slow down. Now the world has slowed down because of the current issues. There is a positive change too because of that. Hopefully we will learn the positives from this and are able to retain it as we go back to normal lives in the coming future. Okay, is decoding necessary to ourselves only or to others as well? Start with yourself. I don't know, was this Prerna or Tulsi? Maybe I'm mixing up names, I'm sorry. So decoding is more necessary for yourself first. But I can tell you a trick. The others will decode you better than you can decode yourself. We have different lenses to see ourselves and different lenses to see others. And the lenses we have to see others are clearer than the lenses we use to see ourselves. So trust what somebody else says, even though you don't like it. You don't have to tell them, I like what you say and all of that. Generally, you will not like, because when you're criticized, you don't like it. But just trust that if somebody felt something, there's something in you that triggered that. So that'll help you decode yourself. So have this large heart, have a generous heart to accept that criticism and see how you can make it work for yourself. Okay, how much time do we have? We have 2-3 more minutes. So let's just take some. How do we change ourselves between should, want, and is to best accommodate a situation? Or is the goal to get away from being in any of the sections? I hope the goal is not to get away from any of the sections. But I think what it is this clarity, the Viveka that we talked about, the power of choice that we have, the clarity of thinking. We will be able to decide when should we come from the is angle, when is it better to come from the want angle, when is it better to come from the should angle. I want to go out and I want to go meet my family and friends. I want to do that, but I'm not doing that because I know I should not be doing that, even though I want to. And many times in my personal case, I let the want win. But in this case, I'm letting the should win because I've reconciled to it. I accept it. So this clarity, this discriminatory sense is vital for you to choose. You have to choose one of the three, two of the three, or all three together. You have to choose that. And if you cannot get all the three, you have to find a way to accept the reality and say the other two or the other is not meant for, and move on. Otherwise, you will keep denying reality. And if you deny reality, it'll be difficult to move on. So please, Viveka is the key. The power of choosing wisely is the key. How do we know what to do? How do we know what we want to do? Decode yourself. Vidhi, I think Vidhi, that's your question. Decode yourself, and maybe it'll help. That's all I can say. Good luck with that. Um, how do we manage not upsetting others close to you? By being true to yourself, by being empathetic to them. This is how, at least, I think about it. But guess what? I still managed to upset a few people around me. But I'm hoping that earlier I would upset them for 3 hours, but now I upset them for 3 minutes because the amplitude of my acts that make them upset have reduced. Plus, they have also grown more large-hearted. They've also evolved with their meditative practice, with their heartfulness practice that allows you to accept much more and not get upset. I, if you're empathetic towards someone and you keep them in consideration, you might still upset them, but you'll be able to make friends with them a lot more. So don't worry about upsetting people out of your care for them. A mother might upset the child for doing the right thing. The child is insisting on doing something, and the mother knows it's not right for the child. And sometimes the mother can be harsh as well, but that's okay. That's perfectly all right because it's for the betterment of the child. The child will realize it at some point. It was for their betterment. So don't worry too much about upsetting people as long as you're empathetic and you have their interest in mind. Whatever is. Okay, thanks for sticking by. I do hope I have been able to trigger one or two thoughts that are going to maybe trouble you a bit so that you can find your answers. Good luck, goodbye, and thank you
Thank
for
you
all
so
the
much.